On August 15th, 1989, Stephen Covey's book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, was published. This book was such an incredible success, and the reality of it is that over 33 years later, it is still as relevant today as it was when it was first published. The book, for a business book, remained on the New York Times bestseller list for over 4 straight years, which is virtually unheard of. Why am I talking about this? Because in the last couple of weeks, I've had so many clients that have been talking to me about their frustrations, their challenges with how they manage their time. And really, what I want to do is I want to just give you this quick tip of the week, which is simply about how we manage our time. And I'm just going to go through the 4 quadrants as Stephen Covey defined it, because truth of the matter is, I run my life and my business this way. And many of my clients that I've gotten them into this, they're like, wow, this is so simple to understand because it makes it easy. And what makes it easy is that Stephen Covey, put quadrant into 4 times, or I'm sorry, put time into 4 quadrants. Things that were urgent and important, things that are not urgent that are important, things that give the appearance of urgency but that are not important, and things that are not urgent and just not important. So these are pretty much time wasters. But what the most important point about this is quadrant 1, important and urgent, are crises. Okay? And in the mortgage industry, we tend to live in crisis. And all that means is not that the world is blowing up every day, although some originators and mortgage companies operate that way. What it's actually talking about is that we are very reactive. When you are always putting out fires or what you perceive to be a fire, you're always going to be in crisis, and then you become very controlled by the market. Perfect example is where we are today. And where we are today in the marketplace is that we came out of the boom of 2020 and 2021 where everybody was reactive because there was just so much volume, so much business coming in. Then in 2022, as we know, I'm not telling you a story you don't know, 2022, things started slowing down. And when they started slowing down, all of a sudden, wait a minute, I don't know how to get business. I've got to figure out how to get business. I've got to go back to prospecting. And for some people, they never had even done that before. That led us to quadrant 2. But here's the irony of it. Quadrant 2 are things like training, planning. Okay? So you're watching this video right now. This is a quadrant 2 activity because it is not urgent, but it is important if you like the message. So what happened is during the refi boom, everybody was operating in quadrant 1, making a lot of money. The market changed. People did not spend in our industry enough time in quadrant 2 except a small percentage of the industry. And the small percentage of the industry, guess what? Those originators are outperforming the rest of the entire industry right now because those individuals continually focused on their relationships, their development. Although they made their refis, they did all of that business, they still kept on planning and working and training and developing the relationships that were not urgent at that time because there was plenty of money coming in, there was plenty of business, but it was certainly important. And these are the 2 key quadrants to success. Now, this third one here, very quickly, these are things, I call them, they're illusions. These are things that give the appearance of urgency, but yet they're not important. But let's just add a tweak to it. And the tweak that I always add to it is they're not important right now. So here's an example. You have the realtor who calls up and says, I need this pre-approval, I need this pre-approval, I need this pre-approval. You get this pre-approval. Oh, we're not taking the buyer out until Saturday, and it's Tuesday. What they did is they gave you this quadrant 3 activity, so you act as if it was a crisis, but it was an illusion of a crisis. It wasn't real. So you ended up treating it like this. But if you had just asked the question, well, when are you planning to go out with the borrower? When do you absolutely need this by? Now, I'm just giving you a simple example. If you had known those questions to ask by practicing or studying it in quadrant 2, it would have kept you out of here. I hope this is making sense because many of us in the mortgage industry, We spend a lot of time here, a lot of time here, and very little time here. Oh, some people also do spend time here. Things that are not important, things that are not urgent. These are time wasters. And I ask people, I say, I want you to look at your day. I want you to look at the things that you engage in that are not necessarily really moving your business forward. And when people have to really dig down and write these things down on paper, they start finding things here. Sometimes it's activities, sometimes it's just thoughts. Here's another example. I'm all about that you know what's going on in the market. And the experts that are out there, I love them. I think they're awesome. They give a lot of great information. They tell you what's happening with the market. But you've also heard me talk about market predictions, and I'm not a big fan of those because nobody seems to be getting them right long term because there's too many factors that are impacting it. So, or too many unknown factors that can impact it. So the point is we could be listening to these brilliant minds, and I want you to know about the market. But if you're the one that's glued all day, I've got to read every nuance of what's happening in the market. Every second I've got to know what's going on. Sorry. You believe it's actually here. You believe it's here. And the reality of it's a time waster. It's a time waster. I've had people where they said they've got to know everything about the market. And I would just ask them, I'd go, how many loans you got going on? And they would be like, little to none. And I'd be like, why do you need to know what's going on in the market if you don't even have people to talk to? That's a time waster. You had to be here. By the way, if you have no business, you might be in crisis. But you have to be here on focusing, making your sales calls, improving your skills, and all of those things that get you there. Here's the lesson. The lesson is I want you to look at this matrix. By the way, if you've never read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, to me, either listen to it or read it. It's an absolute must because it's timeless. The 7 habits are absolutely timeless. And when you really adopt them, it makes a difference in how you operate your business and your life. You become a lot more productive. But if we just talk about this time management matrix here, I want you to just, for this video today, for this tip of the week, simply look at this. Ask yourself, where do you spend most of your time? And for most people, they don't spend it here and here. And you might say, well, wait a minute, Ron, you just pointed to here. So I'm just going to erase this for 1 second. Okay? Just going to erase this for 1 second. I'm kind of doing a training class here today, right? And I'm just going to redraw this really quick. Sorry, my marker is dying a little bit. The ideal business is this, quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. Quadrant 1 are the challenges that come up, that after they come up, we ask a question, what do we need to put in place? What do we need to strategize about? What do we need to plan to take care of this problem? See, we can talk about strategizing all the time in number 2 and say, well, if we're always in 2, we'd never be into number 1. Number 1, the crises, the unknowns, the things that we don't plan for are the things that force us to spend time in quadrant 2. So the ideal business matrix is right here. Urgent and important but not urgent. Quadrant 2. We have to be back and forth between these two. And the more you focus on this, the more you take a look at this and recognize that this is the key to really being as highly effective, as Steven Covey put it, and I'll say as highly efficient as you possibly could be. The whole key here is you've got to pay attention to how you spend your time. Hope this tip helps. See you soon.